Alright, and here we are again doing. There we go. Now even no echo audio wise, so considerable improvement also. Indeed, as noted on the announcement, it's the skunkette continuing today for some time with the Diablo 4. So indeed, greetings and good to have you here, Ruby. It's nice that you found time to join. Have noticed that you have been on some of the channels, so very nice to see you also join the stream again. So let's gradually start here with the game, and of course see how that goes. Like we last did the ravaged cellar, and then we're kind of like walking towards the Imperial Library, but because we do not have our good noodle dragon here, at least yet, banning using the portals, we can now also use fast travel again, which is like last time we had our good noodle dragon ban the use of any kind of portals, so it was like we walked a lot of the 3-hour stream. This time not doing quite that long, as to also have one Olga meeting in a couple of hours, so we'll be doing more like 1.5 hours as usual. Tomorrow probably we'll be doing a longer one again. It depends a bit on other things that doing that day, but for now probably continuing for some time, mostly with Diablo 4. It's pretty big game also, so indeed, welcome, and let's move towards the game. And also feel free to comment, ask anything, and do the redeems if you want. So certainly good to have you here. And let's see about what we find in the game this time. So we did the cellar the last time, and now we kind of at least wanted to walk towards the Imperial Library just for reason of seeing that. So let's see about, do we get there like somehow through here? And why is this red? Also not totally certain. So there we go. Alright, so this goes practically nowhere. So let's see about if we can walk to the Imperial Library out of interest. We do not have any specific reason otherwise, but and for now sufficiently motivated, like walk still, as it also adds experience when one keeps walking as far as the area goes compared to fast travel, and of course it's very stylish to fight with the werewolf in any case, so that also is a benefit. Alright, destroying that clearly got us some good attention. Sure. Right, pick up all the things from there. Alright, there's even like a special Alright, that's pretty sizable. So hopefully Ruby likes the skunkette also. Oh, thank you, that's of course appreciated. Alright, this is some kind of timed event, so it requires doing like enough of the cinders to get one of the special things, which is like 75. We then just need to hang around one of those things that Doomsayer says, oh no. That sounds very... Alright, 60 and we have 3 minutes to collect more, so let's poke at more things as the werewolf for some more of the aberrant cinders, because we need 75 to open the thing with the question mark. Let's see if we can make that in about 3 minutes. Should be, as long as find more things to fight with, so 65, so 10 more. That should be more or less practicable. There we go, 73, so we are drawing close and we still have about 3 minutes. 74, and do think it requires 75 to open, so we should be good for that also. Let's see. There we go. Alright, that was pretty useful. We at least got something, unlike if one just leaves those unused.
It is locked.
That apparently unsure what exactly the silent chest requires, but it clearly requires some kind of means to open the thing. Alright, let's see. Blighted Burrow. Very cavern-like cellar. Alright. Chests directly, there most probably is something wrong. Alright. That was kind of minimal. No fighting at all. Cellar cleared, like what? By clicking on one of the chests. It was like apparently more like loot box encounter than a proper fight at all. One of the cellars had a puzzle that couldn't solve at all. It had the kind of like lights you clicked out and to light up, and it more or less did nothing. That was where indeed the last time. Alright, and now we have some unspent ability points, so let's see. First of all, we could put also thread up to 5, which increases damage. And then we could also improve Digigrade Gate, which is also kind of like gives movement bonus, so alright, and we have more Blood Howl. That sounds quite wolf-like at least. Let's next improve Digigrade Gate, which sounds also very slightly improved movement speed. Right, let's see. Map wise, are we like still moving in the right direction? There are actually 3 dungeons. Inferno. Collapsed Vault. Shiv the Ruins. The corruption in Alcarnus has bled into these ruins, and what does this say? We have carved into the rock to seek hell. Why do you always do it that way? It's always like science finds hell and not like that science found actually something pleasant, even less considering like collapsed vault. In dead hands do these ancient treasures lie. Sounds like that would be very treasurable, so we are in any case going this way if we want to. Actually there's the Imperial Library, so to prefer collapsed vault. Collapse it is. Oh, hello there, Tiga. Let's greet you once we have dealt with these guys here. As we can see again, werewolf fighting power. There we go. Really pretty woof. And then let's greet Tiga. So greetings Tiga, and great to have you also join the stream, so good to have you here. And indeed it's Friday, which is always most excellent situation to be in. That Friday is quite preferable. So let's continue with the game and hopefully get more good things happening, preferably. So let's then keep moving. Alright, one big scorpion. Let's see how full our inventory is. Alright, not almost at all. So, druidic spirit offering. Alright, so it's actually a quest item. Considerably higher resistances, so. And regenerating drifters pants. 29 armor and better regeneration rate plus sockets, so alright. No longer color matched. Oh well. Alright. That would be the collapsed vault, so let's go and collapse. Alright. Unstable rampart. Sounds promising. Slay all enemies in unstable rampart. Fair enough. Hello there, villager. Look out. Alright. There's like some specials. Let's try to first of all, yeah, get rid of the one that freezes. Alright. That also gets rid of them. Even if it was not really what was, yeah, hoping for, like. Alright, that also freezes. So let's first of all try and get rid of that. There we go. And alright, there's again some special that freezes. Yes, yep. That's why you do not really like to get frozen. The second time we have expired, so not too bad during the whole game. Let's try to not get stuck in the middle when get frozen, which is quite usual. So need to watch that a bit closer. There we go. Looks good. Alright, now we have at least quite a bit of the druidic spirit offering. Alright. There we go. And next area. Alright, there's like a staircase here. Hopefully, considering it's collapsed and unstable, hopefully it doesn't fall apart also. I think there are quite like that kind of hazards in this game. You went to the collapsed vault, so it collapsed. At least it's called like unstable rampart, so that sounds kind of hazardous. Let's go to the unstable location. Alright, 6 remain, so. Red doesn't sound promising, at least it does a lot of damage, so. There we go. Travel to Earth and Dread. Alright, let's try to get rid of the one that freezes. There we go. Then we just take a lot of damage, which isn't good either.
The buzzing, the incessant buzzing, constantly, everywhere, in my ears, in my head, and then the stench, oh, putrid, foul.
Alright, now that did put points into the digigrade stance, the overall werewolf form indeed moves faster, so that skill certainly does what it promises. Digigrade stance for the win.
Would it be so different than life in Sanctuary?
Ancient statue, those need to be brought somewhere to continue with the dungeon. Nothing further here. That happened to be a base for the ancient statue. Apparently not. So let's keep moving. There we go. And more. Pick up 100 druidic spirit offerings. Alright. Achievement. Alright, and we do have some kind of special, at least there are like the special extra health things here, so there apparently is also some special further. Alright, that chest had a lot of gems at least. Alright, that was some kind of trap. Thought that that might be the pedestal for the ancient statue. No, that certainly was not the case, so. And more opponents. Return ancient statues to the pedestals. Now this just to find the pedestal. Or any pedestal. This far have found one of the ancient statues, but further than that not much has happened yet. In terms of solving this dungeon, so. Invulnerable, not that that matters terribly. Alright, that's not very promising, like get about million things more, but of course when you're invulnerable you're not immediately worrying about that one. Oh. Clearly there's something special about the shrine, at least. May be invulnerable, but we also apparently get about 10 million opponents. There we go. And more. There must be something really special about that thing. We are no longer invulnerable, but we certainly still get plenty of opponents, so. Cursed shrine. That was certainly cursed. Very cursed, like immediately. Alright, how about 10 million? 10 million things going wrong. Alright, we have done about 37 minutes and it's. So we will get about the 1.5 hours before I have to finish for today, so alright, there is the pedestal, so we are just missing one ancient statue, so let's check around for more ancient statues, thank you. Amount of treasure here has been, except the cursed shrine, kind of limited compared to the description, where the dead hand was on the treasure, but apparently the treasure has yet to show itself. Alright, that was really impressive, ran even off. Dreadful, alright, no wonder Eep goes the whoop. There we go, and then we... Alright, they expired from effects while we were running away, so works. Alright, so this goes round. Let's see what we haven't yet explored. So the other two parts would imagine the ancient statue is somewhere here, so let's move there next. And to wonder where we can use druidic spirit offerings, but at least we have been collecting them a lot. I think they act as some kind of currency or other way to obtain some kind of advantage with the druidic spirit offerings. Alright, there we have the other statue, and we of course immediately get plenty of action for doing that. Right, there was also a named opponent. Favor token earned. Alright. Injured adventure. The only way out of this is to fight. That may agree with, like... Let's also see this corner just for experience reasons. Outright. Last stand, alright, let's see if we can defend them enough, because I think they prefer to undo the last stand if capable of, so maybe difficult. Like, yeah. Be nice, it could also throw them some healing. Alright, there are more than one adventure, so That also helps, because that was the only one and we have one here with almost full energy, so...
Something for your troubles.
Right. Actually, we got also mastery for that and gained a level, so that was good. That's a lot of stuff. Certainly worth doing the event. Also starting to get some yellow items, so let's see. Inventory wise, should we start using something? Alright, that's certainly better. And it looks quite raw, which is an advantage. As always, like, yes, that would be what could be described as preferable, like, how about a ritual mask style helmet? That certainly is appreciated style wise. Alright, that also is considerably better, so, and it color matches better and has more stuff in it, which is of course like the most important part, is that you have a million different kinds of stuff in your pants, which is more like a skirt really, but and it's combined like a skirt and breechcloth. Looks good. And then we have mostly $212 druidic spirit offering. Tulra to garner favor and receive powerful boons in return. Alright. Otherwise not that interesting item exchanges, so. And we have 2 ability points also, so Diggity Great Stance fully advanced. Then we have like rabies. That doesn't sound very desirable. How about getting rabies? Perform an infectious bite against enemies in front of you, dealing 8 damage and applying an additional 80 poisoning damage over 6 seconds. Alright, that does stuff. What else do we have, like? These are companions. Then we have the Bloodhound. This we have mostly. Alright, this we have mostly. Predatory Instinct. The critical strike chance against close enemies is increased by 2%. Do think it's pretty good idea to actually advance that. Alright. And then we have the second statue to set onto the pedestal. So this game also nowadays has spam. It's like massive mats and gold available. Use code. It's funny because they are doing all the usual, that they are very hard, trying to make them hard to filter, so yeah, how about no? Alright, Seething Hive Master. Hello there, mister, would you like to seethe? Isn't it like you say on the internet to sound like a qualified internet person, you say cope and seethe, so this is clearly the seethe part, to think like. This sounds like professional internet person, like cope and seethe, as they always want to say, so. Seething indeed, and of course they are getting some kind of insects to aid them, being the hive master, so. Let's see if we can get away from. Alright, how about you shoot some Karelian pie, or maybe vuoksenpiirakka. Right, let's see if we can get rid of the. Alright, and then we again shall sheath and third drop for health potions. So. Right, now we are getting pretty close to getting them less seeding the damage, but that doesn't really matter because we are... Alright, collapsed vault complete. They had worse treasure than the event. Oh well. And a lot of health potions. It's like, yeah, let's throw more health potions out than your capacity even is. Like, why? Alright. So, time to walk out of the dungeon. That's pretty far. We have still done just for fun the previous requirement that we only walk. We haven't actually used a portal at all. Barrels in this game seem to be only like explosions. They never have treasure as far as have found, unlike the earlier games where you could like beat out barrels. Some were gunpowder and some actually contained items. So to find that in this game the barrels are always like a barrel full of explosion, apparently. So it's like, how about having a barrel full of explosion? It also looks pretty to walk out this way. Even better if could shapeshift at will, which is a bit like outside combat would consider. It's quite similar function would be to shapeshift just for style, while walking would be about the same as in some sports cars that have an active spoiler. You also like can deploy the spoiler by pushing a button to show off. It's kind of similar that game should allow shapeshifting just to show off while walking instead of like just not having that option. So it's a bit similar as with the sports car that you push the button to deploy the spoiler just for show. There we go, Dunes of Despair. Such a lovely location, like. Where have you been taking your vacation? On the Dunes of Despair. Yeah, looks a bit despairing, like how about 1 million opponents. And every possible kind of explosion. Really. Alright, that looks interesting, like you have a buried statue with glowing eyes. Next, wanting to go to the Imperial Library, so let's walk upwards here and see what we can find in that respect. Alright, quite a bit of special styles. There we go. Scorching Dunes. Unsure if that's better than Dunes of Despair. How do you prefer? Scorched or Despair? Scorched or Desperate sound. Sounds like a promising choice. Would you like to be scorched or desperate? Again entered temporarily the pleasant location of Dunes of Despair. Alright, look. More than slightly an issue, like how about really big special scorpions? Sure. Chaldean Blade, that sounds effective. Let's see. Hypnosis Clash. And it looks nice also, the kind of talk or such, so. Does that show at all? Not really, which is a shame. It looks quite nice on the icon. Companion augments, Magic Temper Manual. Alright. We learned a new recipe. Alright, let's then. Yeah, we will be able to do pretty much exactly the 1.5 hours, so looks good in that respect. Alright, this at least goes somewhere. Unsure if that really goes to the Imperial Library though. Alright, quite a bit of fighting. We have both like skeletons and zombies, answer which are better. Tar pits, that sounds good for a saber tooth, like. How about a tar pit? Alright, we have got some attention because we are now in a circle. There we go. And also some druidic spirit offering. Tar pit sounds promising for a saber tooth, like, or at least like probably should stay away from the tar pits when you consider what usually happens to the prehistoric animals in a tar pit. There was like a did show the like concept sheet of this one saber tooth form to some years ago, and they were like just to keep away from any tar pits. So sound advice, one might say. Alright, doesn't seem there's much else than non-enterable area, and we can of course destroy the rest of the bone walls that were not destroyed during the fighting. Then we have apparently another dungeon. Sunken library. It was not the library we were looking for, but we have about half an hour, so let's see about Sunken library next. We have been, as usual in this game, doing like mostly side quests and dungeons instead of like any proper main quest progress for a good while. Seems usual. So, let's then see about how the Sunken library works. Yeah, I do like the helmet a lot. It's very fun. Antechamber. Does look like the library has not been in top form for quite a while. Right, good amount of people, fortunately. Also very good at swinging those big balls around for some damage. Pottery didn't contain anything, unfortunately. It's pretty good because the swings also act as a crowd control. How was it called? Yeah, shred and claw. Very good. The shred kind of also acts as rudimentary crowd control, which helps considerably with fights like this, where you practically have to have some form of crowd control, unless you're very fast with the singular expiration generation. Fiery, but fortunately they were shooting like really far away. Apparently the targeting is kind of random. Alright. We also gained a level. Nice. Right, let's see. Do we still add to the predatory instinct which goes to iron fur? Sounds nice. Let's for now increase the predatory instinct. So iron fur sounds quite impressive also. Alright, it's only for the werebear, so what? Werewolf have no iron fur. Disappointed. Blizzard, do something. This is totally unacceptable. Clear discrimination for bears. Like, really, you discriminate towards the wolf no get iron fur. Very displeased. So, does Tiga have iron fur? Alright, and still further. There's like slay the Archival Guardians, but have not found any, so. Archival Guardians, are they like at one point this one would play the Vulgaris Magistralis, which of course has also been Normalis Archivaris, but unfortunately we haven't yet gotten any mount, so we can't ride the Mastodon every Sunday like in the song. We do have the Ghost Pander mount, but that kind of requires, first of all, having the mount abilities, also to like visit the stable master or some other useful person for the ability to actually ride the mount. And of course it's good to ride your mastodons or other rideable beasts on Sundays. By wide definition, of course, rideable beasts also include machines like motorbikes, bicycles, and other things you ride for vehicle movement. So also a good idea. All right, that's the Mr. Archival Guardian. Let's show them woof ball. There we go. Experiment number 7. Alright. Directed it to move a scroll. Scroll ended up in torn pieces. That sounds like not the best thing in a library. Good experiment. Works. Cause havoc with scrolls. Sounds great for a library. Undead labor is cheap. In parentheses, free. Yeah, it is kind of true that usually undead demand no wage. Except in like some idle zombie miner game where you actually have to pay the zombies wage. Which is kind of confusing. What are the zombies going to spend their money for in any case, like really? because usually zombies are not the best money spenders ever, especially as their distinct lack of financial acumen is quite visible, because they just walk towards you and gurgle or make other useful noises, which shows that they are not, for example, stockbrokers, because if they stood on the floor and yelled, which they do not do, so it's clear that they lack financial acumen to utilize wage in a meaningful fashion. Alright, some kind of fighting boots, whatever looks effective. So, fair enough. And apparently even more undead. Unsure if the undead have been moving scrolls, or like moving scrolls indeed, like no wonder the library is in such a bad condition, because the undead have been left responsible for moving the scrolls, so most probably there are not very many working scrolls left anymore. Also, some time ago read a article on like that they have been able to read some burnt Roman era scrolls with like scanning it with electron beam and then developing an algorithm that models back the kind of like the rolled image of the writing that was on the burnt scroll, because you can't unroll it because it's burned rolled up, and the algorithm practically recreates the flattened version, and this has apparently produced some interesting results. So they are hoping to like recover some lost ancient writing from the burnt scrolls, because they stored them back in the day when they found them from like Pompeii, from like Pompeii or Herculaneum, and hoped that they would be one day readable. So that was an interesting advance, that you can actually construct an algorithm to unroll the layers computationally, which helps immensely. Like you maybe find some missing masterpiece, hopefully, and not like a shopping list, get more wine, which would be slightly more disappointing. Alright, and next we go here, so it would be moderately disappointing. You do all the electron beam scanning, and having used your particle accelerator and supercomputer, you end up finding like that Mr. Senator was sort of wine, so it would be slightly disappointing compared to like histories by Marius or some other proper historian. Would be interesting, because we had the foul fortune of actually having Historia Augusta remain to us instead of one of the serious histories, because both Suetonius and Historia Augusta are more or less like exercises in creative historical writing, and then we have those left instead of one of the more sober Roman histories is somewhat of tragic. Alright, and here we go, so down the stairs and further. Alright, Mr. Archivald Guardian. Hopefully you have not been letting undead handle your scrolls. There we go, and barrier has been displaced. Travel to acquisitions. Acquisitions indeed. Looks like there are not very many like even intact scrolls left, so acquisitions indeed. Alright. Very long staircase, fancy. Alright, and acquisitions also contains plenty of undead, so including Mr. Head Librarian. Alright, let's make sure you end up in early retirement. Hopefully. There we go, archive key. Early retirement. Head Librarian delete package activated. And then lots of undead. Hopefully you have not been touching all the nice scrolls. Alright, extended health even. There we go. So we have full inventory, so let's see if we... Because we still have more dungeon to do think we are just going to sort and throw worse things out instead of like doing town portal, because we do not have that far probably to go as we can enter the archive next, so let's just economize on using the inventory once we get the rest of the treasures. So we should end that way, so door open please. Slay all enemies in Forbidden Archive. Sure. Let's start reducing them. It's a bit easier than in some of the earlier games because they are now shown as red dots on the map, which considerably helps with ensuring that they get also early recommended early retirement. Right, damage resistance if nothing else, like really. Alright, Resplendid Guardian. Sure, let's try to make you less splendid. There we go. We can now also open the Resplendid chest, so we need to sort the items later. Alright, Mr. Alien Duplicon, you like also having something to do with duplication, so at least we now see like proper bookshelves, so there might be some nice books actually here, I would hope. Alright, this leads nowhere, so let's go around the corner. least we are gradually whittling away at the numbers of enemies. There we go, and even more. Reaper axe, we need to go through once we kind of do the overall inventory management. Alright, we are gradually getting the number of enemies also under control, and do think that was all the specials in this area, unless we have like some other librarian coming to complain of the noise after a bit of constant fighting, which wouldn't be a surprise, because usually like making noise in the library is deemed moderately unacceptable. Let's see if we can finish this dungeon still before it is time to put you out for today. For a raid has been really enjoyable, so to be the skunkette for you all tonight for some time. There we go, and 29 remains, so a bit of fighting still, like. Alright, would be nice to not be frozen. There we go. Alright, and again, we can walk a bit more sideways. 3 remain. Alright, now that starts to be a good amount remaining. Still specials though, so it's like, how about different forms of damage? Alright, I do not like your viewer business, mister, so let's delete that. There we go. Alright, we have extra Herald of the Dead, so let's try to also put you into early retirement, like of more extended retirement, considering it is undead. And that finishes the dungeon, so let's walk around with alt put down and see, like, do we have any yellow items left here to finish off. And then we are going to finish the stream and raid and continue tomorrow with more Diablo with a different Fursuit Highland vestment and apparently not much else. Also Reaper axe, so let's throw out a few of these early ones to pick up the yellow items. There we go. And we had one here. There we go. Manual. Alright, that's good. More. Alright, also the name of the advertiser was quite nice. Equal ejaculation 1B to TCLS, so that sounds more or less like Fair enough. Alright, so we are going to finish here for tonight, and let's see who we will leave you with for a raid, and then we are pretty much good to finish. So let's see who's doing what, and also exit the game. It runs really well with the new GPU. Very pleased about that in that respect. So let's see who we are going to so apparently didn't remember to post the announcements, so let's modify those for just view of the skunkette. So oh well. So let's see who's doing what. All right. So his chats. Apologies for allergy. His chats actually. Chats is now actually playing Lion King. So let's raid chats like classical platforming. So let's raid chats for change. There we go. Thank you all for joining, and let's continue tomorrow with more. Be well.